The Revenant glided through Earth's atmosphere, trailing the faint glow of re-entry. Below, the sprawling lights of New Terra gleamed against the darkness, humanity's last great city still standing despite everything the galaxy had thrown at it. Jackson let out a low whistle. Home sweet home. I never thought I'd be so happy to see traffic. Let's just hope they don't make us fill out mission reports the second we land, Lee groaned. I'm running on caffeine and spite at this point. Adrian smirked, guiding the ship toward the landing zone. Relax, you two. I'm sure they'll at least let us shower first. The comms crackled again. Revenant, you are cleared for priority docking, and you've got a welcoming committee. Jackson raised an eyebrow. A parade? For us? Should we start demanding statues? Lee chuckled. Please, with our luck, it's just the maintenance team waiting to yell at us for melting half the ship. As the Revenant touched down, the landing bay's blast doors slid open. To their surprise, a roaring crowd filled the platform, soldiers, engineers, even a few wide-eyed civilians. Adrian blinked. Well, that's new. The airlock hissed as it opened. Jackson stepped out first, throwing his arms wide. All right, who's got the pizza? A cheer erupted through the bay. Someone actually tossed a slice his way. He caught it midair and took a triumphant bite. I love this planet, Lee followed, shaking her head. This is why people think we're unprofessional. Adrian stepped down last, his gaze sweeping over the crowd. Somewhere in the chaos, he spotted Admiral Holt, gruff as ever, but with a rare smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Hell of a job, Captain, the Admiral said. You saved the planet, again. Adrian shrugged. You know us, just another Tuesday. Holt chuckled. Well, enjoy the celebration. You've earned it, but don't get too comfortable. Lee groaned. Why do I feel like there's a but coming? The Admiral's smile faded. Because there always is. Our long-range scouts picked up something big, bigger than the Velcran. Jackson froze mid-chew. I hate this job. Adrian sighed, already sensing another mission on the horizon. Fine, but after this, we're picking the next vacation spot. And as the crowd cheered louder, one thing was clear. The galaxy might never stop coming, but neither would they. The celebration raged on around them, cheers, music, and the occasional flying slice of pizza. But Adrian couldn't shake the Admiral's words. Something bigger. Lee nudged his shoulder. You're brooding again. That's my job. I'm not brooding, Adrian muttered, eyes still on the Admiral as he disappeared into a secure corridor. I'm thinking. Jackson flopped onto a supply crate nearby, grinning like a man who had no intention of worrying. Well, I'm not thinking. I'm eating, and in 5 minutes I'm napping. Wake me up when the universe explodes. Lee plopped down beside him. If something bigger than the Velcran's coming, we might not get that nap. Adrian crossed his arms. It's not just size. Holt looked worried, and that man didn't flinch when we told him about the Velcran bioweapons. Jackson waved a half-eaten slice of pizza. Maybe he's worried you'll finally take that vacation and leave Earth defenseless. Funny, Adrian said dryly. But if this is real, we need to be ready. Lee sighed, running a hand through her hair. We always are. That's kind of the problem. Before Adrian could respond, the holographic display on his wrist buzzed, a priority alert. His stomach tightened. Priority meant one thing, trouble. He tapped the screen, and a classified message unfolded in sharp crimson letters. Unknown anomaly detected. Origin, uncharted space, energy levels off the scale. Jackson peered over his shoulder. That doesn't sound like a welcome wagon, Lee frowned. Coordinates put it outside the Velcran's old territory, way outside. What the hell is out there? Adrian exhaled slowly. Only one way to find out, Jackson groaned. I knew you'd say that. Lee stood, stretching with a resigned sigh. I guess we're not unpacking, huh? Nope. Adrian's voice was firm, but beneath it the thrill of the unknown stirred. Prep the Revenant. If something's coming for us, we're meeting it head on. Jackson tossed his pizza crust aside, shaking his head. I was serious about that vacation, you know. Adrian cracked a smile. Survive this next mission, and I'll let you pick the beach. As the team strode back toward the ship, the noise of the celebration faded behind them. Whatever lay beyond human space, it wasn't coming to negotiate. And as always, humanity wouldn't wait to be hunted. They would strike first. The Revenant powered up, its engines humming like a caged predator ready to break loose. Adrian slid into the captain's chair, scanning the incoming data on the anomaly. The readings pulsed unnervingly, like something alive was stirring out there. Lee settled into her station, fingers dancing across the controls. Long-range scanners online. Whatever this thing is, it's massive and moving. Jackson flopped into his seat, already strapping in. Of course, it's moving. Nothing good ever sits still in deep space. Adrian smirked. Glad to see your optimism is intact. He pushed the thrusters forward and the Revenant lifted off, cutting through the hazy glow of Earth's atmosphere. The cheering crowd shrank below as they breached the edge of orbit. Setting course for the anomaly, Lee confirmed, her voice steady. Estimated arrival, 3 hours. Jackson kicked his feet up, just enough to annoy Lee. 3 hours? Plenty of time for a nap. Adrian rolled his eyes. You're impossible. I prefer charmingly relaxed, Jackson said, closing his eyes. For a moment, the cockpit was quiet, just the steady hum of the ship and the distant murmur of comms traffic. But Adrian couldn't shake the feeling crawling up his spine. Something was out there, and it wasn't friendly. Lee broke the silence. I'm running a spectral analysis, she frowned. This energy signature, it doesn't match any known Velcran tech. It's older, way older. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Older than the Velcran? By thousands of years, Lee said softly. Maybe more. Whatever we're flying toward, it didn't just show up. Jackson cracked one eye open. Great, ancient space monsters. What's next? Space ghosts? Don't joke, Lee muttered. Some species believed in things worse than death. Adrian's voice was quiet but firm. Let's find out what they left behind. The hours ticked by as they cut through the void, tension rising with every passing minute. The Revenant pierced the outer edge of uncharted space, an eerie, silent expanse that even the Velcran had avoided. Lee's console beeped sharply. We're here. Dropping to sublight. The ship shuddered as they slowed, the view beyond the cockpit shifting from star-streaked blurs to the cold reality of open space. And then they saw it. A colossal structure, half buried in the shattered remains of a dead moon. Jagged towers pierced the void, pulsating with a faint violet glow. It was no mere ruin. This thing still lived, and it was waking up. Jackson whistled low. Okay, that's not a welcome mat. Adrian leaned forward, jaw tight. Get me a full scan. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with. Lee's fingers flew across the panel. Scanning now. Wait, her voice faltered. What? Adrian demanded. Lee swallowed hard. Something scanned us first. A new signal lit up the display, ancient, alien, and terrifyingly aware. And as its pulse grew stronger, one thing was clear. Whatever had been sleeping just noticed them. The Revenant hovered in the debris field, its hull scarred but intact. Adrian's heart pounded as the echoes of the battle faded into silence. Lee exhaled shakily. Singularity cannon offline. We won't get another shot like that. Jackson slumped in his seat, wiping sweat from his brow. Good. I'm fresh out of hero moves. Adrian scanned the wreckage. The alien structure was gone, torn apart by the gravitational collapse. But a faint signal still flickered on the edge of their sensors. Lee, what's that? Her fingers flew across the console. I'm detecting a fragment. It's still active. Jackson groaned. Why can't evil ancient tech ever stay dead? Adrian set his jaw. We're not leaving it behind. Lock onto the fragment. If there's a threat, we end it now. The Revenant drifted closer, revealing a jagged shard of the alien core. Strange glyphs pulsed faintly along its surface, like a heart still beating. Lee's voice grew tense. Adrian, it's transmitting again. Before he could respond, the ship's lights flickered. A cold, metallic voice echoed through the comms. You have delayed the inevitable. The Harbinger comes. Jackson froze. Who's the Harbinger? Adrian's eyes narrowed. Whoever they are, we'll be ready. As the Revenant turned back toward Earth, the distant stars seemed just a little darker. Because whatever was coming next, this battle had only been the beginning. The Revenant cruised silently through the wreckage, but the echo of that cold, metallic voice still lingered. The Harbinger. Whatever it wasn't a bluff. Adrian stood, his mind already racing. Lee, lock that fragment in the stasis vault. If it's a warning, I want to know everything about it. Jackson stretched, trying to shake off the tension. Let's just hope their next harbinger doesn't come with reality-warping death spikes. Lee's console beeped, an alert flashing red. Adrian, something's opening. Dead ahead. The view screen shimmered, revealing a tier in space, a rift glowing with pale, silver fire. Out of it emerged a vessel unlike anything they had ever seen. Its surface shifted like liquid obsidian, sleek and terrifyingly smooth. Adrian's blood chilled. That's not Velcran tech. Jackson's voice tightened. And it's arming something big. A section of the alien ship unfolded, revealing a weapon that pulsed with black-violet energy, a neutron flare. If it fired, it would rip the Revenant apart on a molecular level. Adrian didn't hesitate. Deploy the shadow blades. From the Revenant's underbelly, a swarm of phase-shifting projectiles launched. Each blade twisted in and out of real space, slicing through the void at impossible speeds. The alien ship retaliated, releasing quantum harpoons, jagged spears of dark energy that sought out heat signatures. Two harpoons clipped the Revenant's hull, shaking the entire ship. Shields at 47%, Lee called out. Adrian gritted his teeth. Fine, time for something new. He activated Project Helix, a prototype weapon too unstable to test under normal conditions. Twin emitters along the ship's bow glowed with crimson halos. Firing helix beams. Twin spirals of antimatter plasma erupted from the ship, twisting together into a single devastating blast. The beam struck the alien vessel, cutting a massive gash through its hull. But it wasn't finished. The enemy ship released gravity spikes, which bent space itself, pinning the Revenant in place. Jackson cursed. We can't move. Adrian's fingers flew across the console. Activate the Void Fang. A sleek, spear-like missile emerged, a subspace-piercing warhead designed to tear through dimensional barriers. It struck the enemy's core, destabilizing their gravity field in a brilliant explosion. The Revenant broke free. Lee gasped. They're retreating, back into the rift. The alien vessel shimmered and vanished, but the warning lingered. The Harbinger comes. Adrian's eyes remained locked on the empty void. Next time, they won't get away. The Revenant drifted through the wreckage, its engines humming softly. The rift was closing, but Adrian knew the battle was far from over. The Harbinger was still out there, waiting. Lee's voice broke the silence. Captain, residual energy from the rift is spiking again. Adrian's jaw tightened. Another ship? Worse. Lee's fingers flew across the console. It's a weapon signature, something massive. A tremor ran through the ship as a seismic annihilator emerged from the fading rift, a colossal floating construct designed to shatter planets by unleashing gravitational shockwaves. Jackson whistled low. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not friendly. Adrian didn't hesitate. Deploy the Phantom Blades. From the Revenant's hull, a dozen sleek, light refraction drones burst forth. Each one moved invisibly through the void, slicing at the Annihilator's core with precision plasma cutters. But the alien weapon retaliated, releasing singularity mines, black spheres that imploded space itself. Two drones vanished instantly. We need something stronger, Adrian growled. Prepare the Nova Javelin. Lee's hands trembled slightly as she armed the prototype, a lance-shaped projectile capable of unleashing a star-core explosion. Nova Javelin ready, she confirmed. Adrian fired. The javelin pierced the heart of the Annihilator, detonating in a blinding burst of plasma and gamma radiation. The alien weapon trembled, then collapsed inward, devoured by its own gravity field. Jackson exhaled sharply. That's one way to end a problem. Adrian's eyes remained cold. For now. But if that was their warning shot, we haven't seen the worst of it. The Revenant drifted through the silent void, but Adrian knew this was only a pause, a brief breath before the next storm. Whatever the Harbinger was, it hadn't shown its true face yet. Lee's console beeped sharply. Captain, I'm picking up a new anomaly, bigger than anything before. Adrian's fingers tightened on the command chair. Origin? Lee's face paled. It's not coming through the rift, it's forming inside real space. Jackson cursed under his breath. They don't need the rift anymore. Before Adrian could respond, space itself rippled, and from the distortion emerged a Leviathan-like ship, unlike anything they had faced. Its hull glowed with red-gold veins, pulsating like a living heart. That's no scout, Adrian said coldly. That's a warship. The alien vessel released a surge of energy, activating a void singularity shield, a shimmering barrier that consumed incoming projectiles. Jackson groaned. Great. Now they're cheating. Adrian was already moving. Fine. Let's see how they like the Black Sun Cannon. The Black Sun Cannon was a last resort weapon, a miniature star core compressed into a singularity burst. It had never been fired in battle. Until now, the cannon extended, glowing with purple-black fire as it charged. Target locked, Lee confirmed. Fire. A beam of concentrated stellar fury erupted from the Revenant, slamming into the enemy's shield. For a moment, the shield held, but then it cracked, splintering into shards of energy. Jackson whooped. We punched through, but the enemy wasn't done. The Leviathan's hull shifted, revealing neurospike arrays, weapons that burrowed into systems and corrupted them from the inside. Brace! Adrian shouted. The ship trembled as the spikes struck. Systems flickered and warning sirens blared. Lee's voice was tight. They're trying to override our core. Adrian's eyes burned with determination. Then we hit back harder. He activated the celestial shards, a cascade of crystallized antimatter lances, each capable of tearing through phase shields and physical matter alike. The shards struck true, piercing the Leviathan's engines. The alien vessel shuddered as explosions ripped through its hull, and yet, in its final moments, it transmitted one last message. A cold, alien voice echoed through the ship. The Harbinger sees you now. The alien voice faded, but its chilling presence lingered. Adrian's heart pounded as the Revenant stabilized, warning lights flickering across the console. Lee's voice trembled. Captain, that wasn't just a message. It was a beacon. Adrian's stomach sank. They've called something worse. The void ahead ripped open, revealing a massive nightmarish form, its shape twisted between obsidian metal and burning plasma, as if reality struggled to contain it. Jackson's voice dropped to a whisper. Is that the Harbinger? The entity hovered in eerie silence, extending exo-void spines, weapons capable of unraveling physical matter. Adrian's jaw tightened. We hit it first. Load the Quantum Fang. The Quantum Fang, a missile that struck targets across multiple timelines, glowed as it launched. It pierced the Harbinger's hull, distorting reality around it. For a moment, the enemy faltered, then retaliated. Entropy cascades erupted, disintegrating everything they touched. The Revenant shuddered violently. Hull integrity at 42%. Lee cried. Adrian's eyes blazed. Prepare the Starforge Array. The Starforge Array, a weapon harnessing miniature black holes, charged with a low, ominous hum. Fire! A beam of gravitic destruction tore through the Harbinger's core. The entity writhed in agony before collapsing into itself, vanishing into the void. Silence fell. Jackson exhaled shakily. Is it over? Adrian's gaze remained cold. For now. The void where the Harbinger had collapsed remained disturbingly quiet. Too quiet. Adrian's instincts screamed that this wasn't the end. Lee's voice cut through the silence. Captain, I'm detecting residual anomalies. Something's still there. Jackson groaned. Of course it's not that easy. The sensors flared as fragments of the Harbinger began to reassemble, dark tendrils knitting themselves back together, pulsating with an unknown energy signature. It's regenerating, Lee whispered, and it's evolving. Adrian didn't hesitate. Deploy the singularity lances. From the Revenant's hull, 6 sleek lances fired, each tipped with quantum anchors, designed to tear targets apart at the subatomic level. They struck true, pinning the regenerating mass, but instead of disintegrating, the fragments absorbed the energy, glowing brighter. Damn it, Jackson muttered. It's feeding off our weapons now. Adrian's mind raced. If conventional weapons strengthened it, they needed something unpredictable, something the enemy couldn't adapt to. Activate the Chaos Engine. Lee hesitated. Captain, that thing isn't stable. Do it. The Chaos Engine was experimental, a device that unleashed reality-breaking pulses, defying known physics. If anything could stop the Harbinger, this was it. The Revenant trembled as the engine spun up, emitting waves of anomalous energy. Space around them twisted as the pulse struck the enemy. The regenerating mass convulsed, its structure fragmenting into impossible shapes, unable to adapt to the chaotic assault. For a breathless moment, the void shimmered, then collapsed, taking the last trace of the Harbinger with it. Lee let out a shaky breath. No signs of reformation. It's gone. Adrian leaned back, tension still in his shoulders. This time, maybe, but if they sent the Harbinger, he stared into the dark expanse. What else is out there? Yeah. The Revenant floated in the eerie stillness, but Adrian knew the silence wouldn't last. If the Harbinger was just a prelude, something far worse was waiting. Lee's fingers danced over the console. Captain, the Chaos Engine destabilized local space. We're detecting fractures. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Fractures? A holographic display flickered to life, showing glowing rifts spreading across the sector, tears in reality itself. Jackson cursed under his breath. Great. We didn't just kill the Harbinger, we broke the universe. Before anyone could respond, one of the largest fractures ripped open, revealing a strange rotating object, a primal core. It pulsed with a deep, golden light. Lee's breath caught. Captain, that's not theirs. Adrian stood. Origin? Lee shook her head. Unknown, but it predates everything we've seen. The primal core flared, sending out a wave of energy that bathed the Revenant. Systems flickered, but not from damage. They were being upgraded. Jackson gawked. Did we just get a cosmic gift basket? Adrian's mind raced. Whatever this core was, it wasn't just power, it was knowledge. New weapon schematics flooded the ship's database. Singularity spears capable of freezing enemies in time, reality rippers which tore through dimensional shields, and one final blueprint labeled simply Omega Edge. Lee's voice shook with awe. Captain, this thing can rewrite physical laws. Adrian's expression hardened. Take everything. If the Harbinger was their weapon, whoever left this wanted us to fight back. As the fractures began to seal, Adrian turned to the crew. We're not prey anymore. Let's show them what humans can do. The Revan engines flared to life, pushing into the unknown toward the next battle waiting in the dark.